Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 125 of the DrewCast. I'm your host, Mela15, and I'm actually by myself today. No disembodied voices, just me, just you. Kind of sounds a little creepy, but yeah. Guys, this summer, I'm gonna start off. This summer has been like a really bad summer for me. I've kind of said it on a bunch of my social medias. I even did a community notes on the channel if you guys are interested in reading that. Been going through a lot, bro. Hasn't been the best summer, and I kind of let it interfere with what we do here. I never wanted that to be a thing. I never wanted the outside problems to interfere with what we have going on here, and they have, and that is something that I'm gonna have to work with and deal with. But I want to start a segment where I talk about personal stuff, maybe some funny family stories, some sad family stories, maybe some maybe not so funny family stories, but we're going to call it Back to the Past. And you guys are going to travel with me. That might not be the name. You guys can comment below if you think that's a good name for it. But basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys back to some parts of my life that make me who I am today. Some of them, like I said, some of them might be funny, some of them might be sad. It kind of just depends on what I talk about. I just want you guys to get to know me a little more. I come on this camera, pause, but I show up every week and I'm here to entertain, right? And I feel like the entertainment part is cool, but to get to know me more as the person behind the mic, I feel like there's certain things you guys should know, right? And you guys should be like, hey, what makes Andrew do what he does? Why does Andrew go so hard with this type of stuff? And we're going to talk. So, for the Back to the Past segment today, I want to bring up. So, if you guys have seen Malcolm in the Middle, I've actually mentioned this before, but my brother Justin, when we were growing up, like they were like, hey, he needs to be in the smart classes. He needs to be in like a smart kid school, like the Crub ones. And they, when that started happening, obviously like my parents were like super into like getting Justin into there and like, kind of like the golden child treatment. But the cool thing about Justin is he never actually treated anybody like that. If you get what I'm saying. He never threw it in your face that like, hey, they want me to go to a smart school, bro. They want me to go to smart classes, right? He never did that. And that's something that he didn't have to do that, right? He could have like been bragging and thrown it in our faces. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because of Justin's like how smart he was and how they try to like put him on a pedestal above us, which again, he never did that. They did. It pushed me. It pushed me to go do better. I didn't want to be the brother that was left behind, or I didn't want to be the brother that was a failure. I didn't want to be the brother that was like just not up there. And yes, I still think Justin's smarter than me, obviously, but my brother, I've told him this before, but if it wasn't for him, bro, I don't even know if I'd be where I'm at today. If you guys don't know, for people who are new to the channel, we have a music channel called WPOB. I always link it in the description. But when Justin first started rapping, he was like automatically like hella good. He was like his cadence was good, his bars were hella good. He like, and I had been doing it for a while, right? I had been rapping for a while, and when he first started, he was like leagues ahead of me. And what I could have done is just quit, like, oh no, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this. But like the competitor in me wouldn't allow that. It wouldn't allow me to just take a back seat, right? So I always pushed myself harder. I always pushed myself. I always pushed myself to reach newer heights because of him. And it wasn't just with music; it was with everything. Like anything we did, how good, like his gift, right? Like how good he was pushed me to go harder. And I think that's why, like in life, I mean, I do have friends, right? But like obviously, my best friend, in my opinion, is my brother. Like that is my best friend, and we do go through stuff. Everybody does. Every sibling does, and I know I'm too much. I know I'm too much. But if it wasn't for Justin, I don't know if I'd be sitting here today. I mean, we've been podcasting for like 4 years now. 4 years. Not many people can do that. Not many people have the drive to be this consistent. Not many people have the will, the skills to even keep up this long. And without Justin like teaching me how to edit the videos, without Justin's like, weekly help, this wouldn't be a thing. Like I owe a lot of my success to my brother, you know? So, going back to what I was talking about with the whole smart school stuff, like if it wasn't for that, I feel like that was the genesis of this. Seeing him be put on a pedestal by our parents and like the teachers. And again, he never did that. He was never like braggadocious, like, oh, I'm smarter than you. You guys are stupid. But if it wasn't for that, I don't think something would have pushed me to try harder. Like in sports, we always pushed ourselves to do good in sports, music, podcasting, everyday life. Like there was just always something. It was like the Vegeta Goku relationship, right? Like if Goku's turning Super Saiyan 3, now you got to turn Super Saiyan 4. If Goku's Super Saiyan God, now you got to go further than that. And I always appreciated that. I always appreciated that about my brother, that he was able to push me to new heights, right? He was always able to just naturally be himself, make me want to be better. And like I said, without him, bro, I wouldn't even know. I don't know how far I would have went with music and podcasting, bro. Like honestly, and like if you're watching, Dustin, obviously like there's things about myself that are really difficult to deal with, and that's something that I wanted to work on after the summer, was basically learning to not let outside stuff affect what we do here, because this is something that I'm building for me and him, right? Like this is something that I'm building to hand off to our kids, leave a mark in the world, right? Because everybody wants to do something, right? And my goal was to give the people who watch us and support us, like even if it's something you don't agree with me on, I want to give something that will last forever. Like something you guys can look at and be like, hey, he was a good guy, bro. Like Andrew, he believed in a lot of cool stuff. He was an awesome dude. His messages were like really like they were rooted in like, doing good for the world. So, again, if you guys like that segment, me talking about more personal stories about myself, let me know. I want to call it Back to the Past. If you guys don't like that name, comment below, and I'll take suggestions. I'm cool with like a name change on that segment. I just feel like it's cool to become more personal with like the people who watch us, because yeah, we show up here weekly to entertain, but also there's a side of this that most people don't see. Like they might just see like a mic and a camera and the lights and think that this is super easy, but it's not. It's really not. You can ask people around. Like this type of stuff isn't easy, bro. Like you can't just it's not easy to do this for 4 straight years, right? And like I was always really good at not letting outside stuff affect the podcast. But everybody has mistakes, bro. Everybody has slip ups, and hopefully I'm able to correct the wrongs that have happened this summer. I just felt like, the brand's called Say What's Real. So, you know, I got to start being more real, and sometimes it might be uncomfortable, dude. The people who get uncomfortable with my stories, you weren't uncomfortable while making me uncomfortable, right? You weren't empathetic towards me when you were making me feel like shit. So if you get uncomfortable during the stories that I tell in the future, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like I don't care, because you didn't feel uncomfortable making me feel uncomfortable. And you don't support what I do. You don't, there's like a level of like there's like something in the air where you can tell like these people, they just want you to shut up. They don't want you to talk. They don't want you to expose how you feel. And that's not how I operate, right? So I'm able to separate, disrespectful talk to, hey, this is my truth and this is what I want you to know. Because the lesson here is, with that Back to the Past segment, is without Justin, because I'm giving him his flowers, without him, I don't know what I'd be doing. So, but yeah, so earlier this week, I was going through stuff on Twitter, and I'm still going to call it Twitter because I don't really care. Elon's funny for thinking we weren't going to still call this Twitter. But come on, Elon, bro. You know what I mean? We're going to call it Twitter, but obviously it's called X now. And I don't even care. Like, it could be called X for the next 2 decades. I'm literally still calling it Twitter. I'm going to refer to it as the Bluebird. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop me from still calling it Twitter, basically. So I'm on Twitter, and I see, so there's like a tier list, right? And there's a bunch of tier lists for like, your favorite fast food restaurant, right? Your favorite restaurant, your favorite drink, tier list for movies. It usually has S tier, F tier, that sort of thing. I come across a tier list, right, for drinks. Obviously, water's in the S tier, okay? And obviously, there's people who say they don't drink water. And let's just get that out the way, how disgusting that is. You know what I mean? If you say you don't drink water, I automatically think you're a stinky person, bro. Like I used to be that person in my late teens, right? Like I would only survive on like Mountain Dew type drinks and soda, and which is disgusting, by the way, because you know how they say like Mountain Dew causes like schizophrenia and shrinks your balls. Like, hey, during that time, I was probably like, hey, my balls are like so big already, I can afford to lose a couple inches, right? Because they would try to scare you like, oh, your balls and your Johnson will shrink. Like, bro, some people might believe that, like, oh, it'll shrink down to like an inch, like, you know what I mean? So, and the schizophrenia part, hey, I think I already have schizophrenia a little bit, so what's a little more schizophrenia added onto what you already have? But on this tier list, water is S tier, okay? And obviously, yes, water is gonna stay S tier. That's not what we're debating today. What we're going to debate is the Mr. Pibb disrespect. Now, Mr. Pibb is at the bottom, because I'll put the list up right here. Mr. Pibb is at the bottom with all the other sodas. We're not doing that. We are not going to disrespect Mr. Pibb. And like, okay, so you see how Coke's on the F tier, right? Like, if Coke was its original formula, right, with like cocaine still in it, it's S tier, right? Like Coke with Coke in it. Yeah, bro, come on. Like, we're not gonna disrespect Coke with Coke. But now that there's no cocaine in Coke, oh, it's F tier. You can see on the list there's Pepsi, there's Sunkist, there's 7-Up, Sprite, root beer, like all those sodas, yes, F tier. And I used to drink those. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm holier than thou. I used to drink those type of sodas, right? But the fact that Mr. Pibb is on that list, just no. What are you doing? Hey kid, who made this list? What are you doing? You gonna fucking sit there and tell me? You gonna fucking sit there and tell me Mr. Pibb's at the fucking F tier? What are you doing? What are you doing? Mom fucking raised you better than that. What are you doing? You're gonna sit here and fucking tell me that Mr. Pibb is at the very fucking bottom and Mr. Pibb isn't even like at the B? Isn't even on the A? What the fuck you doing? What you doing? What you doing? But yeah, because like if you guys have seen American Dad, like Stan Smith and Francine, they're like so obsessed with Mr. Pibb that they actually go to the factory and do like tours and get like merchandise. Bro, I would do that for sure. That's how big of a Mr. Pibb fan I am. Like I would even do that for Coke if Coke still had cocaine in it. Yeah, let's go to the factory. Let's do the tour. Let's get the merchandise. Yup, let's do all of it. I would do that. But I'm not doing that now for Coke with no cocaine in it. But Mr. Pibb, I don't really know people who drink Mr. Pibb. That's the craziest part is I don't know a lot of people who do. Right? I know a lot of people who drink a lot of, like I've been around and I've lived with people who like they live off soda, bro. And it's actually like really disgusting. They don't drink water. They do the whole I don't drink water, bro. Oh, because that's disgusting. Right? Like that's disgusting. And again, I'm not gonna act like I'm holier than thou. I used to be that type of guy. I used to like, hey, water is disgusting. It tastes different. I still think so, bro. I know there's people who don't think water tastes different, but if it comes out of a glass, a water bottle, a plastic bottle, a plastic cup, even like air drinking it, water does taste different, bro. And there's people who will sit there and tell you that it doesn't. Yes, it does. So we could still have water in the S tier. Yeah. But you're not going to sit there and tell me that water does not taste different when it comes from a cup or a plastic or whatever, right? I can't believe there's people who even try to argue that, bro. That's fucking insane. I think for me, drinking water out of a water bottle is my favorite taste. Like when it comes out of a cup, like glass cup versus plastic cup, I would rather have plastic too. I don't know what it is, bro, but water does taste different. But the Mr. Pibb disrespect, that has to stop, bro. We're not gonna sit there and disrespect Mr. Pibb. He didn't do anything. Right? Mr. Pibb is like a loyal guy. He's loyal to his family. He works at 9 to 5, comes home, mows the lawn, loyal to his kids. He goes to their football games. Mr. Pibb has never had cocaine in it. He's clean, right? And the fact that this person put Mr. Pibb on the F tier, shame on you, bro. And I know whoever made this probably didn't realize that, but we're not going to do that, okay? So you guys comment below, what do you think of Mr. Pibb? And what soda that's in the F tier would you not have in the F tier, right? Because yeah, like the last couple years, I've started to drink more tea and juice and try to be more healthy. But I know there's some people who probably wouldn't have some of these sodas at the F tier, right? So we're gonna keep water at the S tier because yes, you need water to live. Water is good when it comes from a plastic cup, right? But there's some people who might have Pepsi in the S tier. Some people might have Coke post cocaine in the S tier, which I don't know why you would if it doesn't have cocaine in it. But yeah, there's another list that I ran across, right? So the second list was one has to go forever list, okay? And I'll put that picture up here in a moment. But usually the one has to go forever list usually has like weed, basketball, grandma, or it's like weed, basketball, grandma, or money, right? Like obviously we're gonna choose grandma. Bye, grandma. You know what I mean? Bye. But like no, but there's some people who don't smoke weed, right? Or they smoke hella weed. So they're not gonna get rid of weed. They're gonna get rid of grandma. Bye, grandma. You know what I mean? But if you don't smoke weed, then yeah, you'd get rid of weed. But this list right here, and I'll put it up right here. This list has steak, shrimp, fried chicken, and ribs. Now, this one's this one's hard, bro. This isn't an easy one. Like I said, most of the time there's maybe like one or two that you could easily get rid of. Like this one doesn't have that. Now, I know there's people who are allergic to shrimp or don't like seafood, so they will easily pick shrimp. Now, I'm going to pick shrimp only because there's some places that don't clean the shrimp's poop sack, right? Now, you guys might not know that shrimp does have a poop sack on the back, and a lot of places don't clean it out. And it's disgusting. Once I figured that out, it changed the entire game for me. I was like, wait a minute, they don't clean out the poop sack? Then what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, did you not clean the poop sack? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I didn't know that. And there's a lot of places, like I'm half Mexican, right? So like there's a lot of Hispanic food places that don't clean the poop sack. And we got to do better as Mexicans and Hispanic people. We got to do better. Clean the fucking poop sack. It's not hard. I'm not trying to eat fucking poop, right? And I almost picked ribs. Ribs are good, bro. And I didn't want to pick fried chicken because I literally am a fried chicken connoisseur, right? My mom ate it when she was pregnant with me almost the whole time. I mean, I love every form of chicken, bro. Like chicken is just, it's bomb. You could literally have so many different meals with it, right? And we're not picking steak. For people who pick steak, you only pick steak because you don't know how to cook steak, right? There's a lot of people who don't know how to cook steak. Like they overcook it, they undercook it. And I know a lot of people like their steak more on the bloody side, which I'm kind of like a medium rare type of person. Like I like some pink. Yeah, maybe more than some pink, but like, my steak, I've learned how to cook it good. So, but I'm down to shrimp and ribs, and I think I'm gonna pick shrimp only because the poop sack problem. Like if you don't clean the poop sack, bro, I'm sorry, dude. We're just not doing that. Okay? And you guys comment below, what do you pick? I mean, if you pick fried chicken, there might be something wrong with you. Like you might be on a spectrum if you pick fried chicken. I don't know how someone could look you in the eyes and be like, yeah, bro, fried chicken has to go. Either you're racist or you're on the spectrum if you pick fried chicken. But the last thing for tonight, though, on Twitter, this has to do with like comic book movie stuff. But there's a post on Twitter talking about how in the Flash movie, and I'll put it up here in a moment, but during the Flash movie, the Flash, the whole movie, Barry's going through these lessons about like, hey, if you change something, you can change the whole timeline. Like you could change one thing and it'll screw up the entire timeline. And then in the last 25 seconds of the movie, or, the last part of the movie, he essentially, saves his dad, right? After learning all these lessons about not messing with time, he saves his dad. The post actually got a lot of interactions. And the post actually, there was a lot of backlash because people agreed with it. Like they were basically saying like, hey, why have him go through this whole arc just to change at the very end? Now I'm here to tell you, it's a very human thing to do. It is. By Barry doing that, that is what a lot of us would do, right? I know a lot of people who I could sit there and give them the blueprint. I can give them the best advice, the best help. I can walk them through step by step how to do something, and then they'll turn around last second and do the complete opposite. It's a very human thing to do. There's a lot of things that we do where it's like when you're growing up, right? Like your parents will try to tell you something, You don't listen to them, and when you get older, you're like, mom was right, bro. I mean, I don't do that, but I mean, there's a lot of people who say, hey, dad was right, bro. And I feel like Barry is a perfect example of that. Just because he's a superhero, right? Just because he's a metahuman or a superhero, or because he has powers, doesn't exempt him from showing like human characteristics, right? So I think by him changing that for his dad, that is something that a lot of us would do, right? You can get told the blueprint for what you need to do. Hey, don't do this because you're going to F up the entire timeline, right? You're going to change a lot. Okay, save dad, right? So it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, a lot of backlash came from that, but they, you're not going to sit here and tell me you wouldn't do that. Like if you had the chance to save your dad from going to prison, because his mom was already dead, right, in the movie, and we did a review for the movie, by the way. I know I just probably said a major spoiler. We did a fantastic review for this movie on the channel. It's up if you guys want to watch it. But like, does he have to lose both parents? So I kind of see why Barry did that, right? Like he doesn't have to have his dad in prison and his mom dead for, so, and speaking, and before we leave, there's another comic book debate that was happening on Twitter because they were talking about the Nolan movies, right? And how James Gunn had made comments about not being a fan of like some of the movies in the trilogy, which I'm just going to say before the pitchforks come out that the Dark Knight trilogy is one of the best comic book movies of all time. It's one of the best trilogies of all time. It's really good cinema. Christopher Nolan kills it, right? But what he essentially did with those movies is that he turned Batman into such a gritty, realistic character that everything afterwards, like, try to emulate that, right? To the point where Matt Reeves' Batman is basically that. It's basically like a younger, grittier, dark version of the Christian Bale Batmans, right? You can't really have a Killer Croc fighting Robert Pattinson. You really can't have Poison Ivy. You like limit yourself to what you can do in those movies because you're basically saying like it has to be this way because of how successful Nolan's movies were. To the point where when you see Ben Affleck in the Justice League, it kind of was jarring, right? Like it kind of exposed a lot of flaws. Like when we fight Darkseid or we fight Steppenwolf or we fight Brainiac, what the fuck is Batman supposed to do? Just fly around and shoot people? You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of one of those things, right? So that's why I'm excited for the Brave and the Bold, because the Brave and the Bold, you can tell more Batman comic book stories that like you couldn't tell with Christopher Nolan, right? And that's not even to say those movies aren't good. Like I just said, one of the best comic book trilogies of all time, right? But we're talking about essentially like stripping Batman of a lot of what he can do because you're trying to copy a formula. Let those movies stand on their own and let's try something different. That's why Brave and the Bold, I have a lot of faith for the James Gunn version of Batman. Because I know if he does it correctly, you're not going to limit yourself to what Batman can do, right? Of course, Batman can't fight Brainiac or can't fight Darkseid really, but then you can have more villains from the Rogues Gallery, right? You can have more of like the super powered, like dark, mysterious, like the Killer Croc, Poison Ivy's. Like I know Matt Reeves was trying to do like there was rumors of him there was rumors of the villain should be Mr. Freeze, or how would that work? How would Man Bat work in Matt Reeves' Batman, right? You've already set the precedent, you already set like the expectation of Batman is in a dark, gritty, realistic world, right? That's why the Riddler worked. That's why the Court of Owls will work, because that's the expectation you set, right? So I'm hoping with this new Batman, we're able to get different stories that kind of stay more true to the comic books and don't try to copy Nolan or Matt Reeves, right? So you guys comment below. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Nolan's Batman kind of changed the way people try to do Batman? Do you think it was for the good? Do you think it was for the worst? And yeah, just comment your basic thoughts below on like, the Barry Allen stuff, the Batman stuff. So, but yeah, that is episode 125, guys, of the DrewCast. Thank you for joining me. Like I said in the beginning, guys, been going through a lot of stuff this summer, so I'm hoping to like dial it in, focus, get some stuff, closed up, figured out. And, the continued support on TikTok, especially IG Reels, has like been super fantastic because we're getting like thousands and thousands and thousands of views, bro. And it's really good to see when your like work is being presented to the world. And if you read the comment section, a lot of people, some people leave mean comments, but I'm starting to become better at just like letting it slide off because it's just not worth arguing with like trolls all day. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like I said in the beginning, guys, hope you have a good one. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And until next time, guys, peace.